Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something that is quite literally reshaping the spaces around us, the evolution of commercial interior design. If you manage facilities, handle capital projects, or simply care about how commercial environments are built, you already know the drill. Expectations have shifted. We want faster, more durable, and completely seamless environments. So let's explore how a massive shift from traditional vinyl to direct-to-wall printing technology is actually making that a reality. Have you ever noticed the peeling seams on commercial wallpaper? I mean, seriously, have you ever walked down a hospital corridor and seen those bubbling edges where a vinyl wrap is just giving up? It kind of looks like a bad relic from the 80s, right? It's an everyday architectural annoyance, but it perfectly highlights the massive limitations of what I call the adhesive era. We've relied on sticky backings for decades, but that era is rapidly coming to a close.
Let's start with Section 1, the wall covering problem.
The truth is, traditional wall coverings inevitably fail over time. We see seams that telegraph, meaning every single overlapping line is painfully visible. You get peeling edges, bubbling materials, and total adhesive failure. And why does this happen? Well, because buildings aren't static. They breathe. They experience thermal swings, humidity changes, and substrate movement. When vinyl is glued to a wall, environmental changes wage this constant war on the adhesive. Eventually, the humidity wins out. Factor in those incredibly lengthy fabrication windows, and it's a massive logistical headache that constantly complicates occupancy schedules.
Which brings us to Section 2, the direct-to-wall revolution.
Let's actually look under the hood at how this process works because it's pretty wild. First, crews set up a track or a mass system right there in front of the wall. Second, they run a pre-flight file check and color profiling, which ensures your brand color fidelity is absolutely perfect. Third, these precision print heads move along the track, laying down high-resolution imagery directly onto the substrate. And finally, an instant UV LED cure. There are no adhesives, no carrier materials, and no weird off-gassing. That low-odor ink hardens immediately, meaning zero drying time. What this technology creates is called a monolithic surface. It's essentially a seamless, continuous finish fused directly to the architectural substrate. There are no panel bricks to worry about and zero adhesives to fail. The coolest part? The hardware actually adjusts the print head height and ink laydown on the fly to match microtextures. So it works beautifully on smooth drywall, textured cinder block, primed concrete, and even raw brick. It feels deeply integrated with the building itself, rather than just applied to it like some giant sticker. Now let's move to Section 3, the head-to-head matchup. When we contrast these technologies side by side, the differences are honestly stark. Traditional vinyl relies on those inevitable seams, involves super long shot fabrication times, and requires incredibly labor-intensive removal that can literally damage the drywall and leave toxic residue behind. Direct-to-wall, however, is completely seamless, uses zero adhesive, and is entirely paint-over ready. By removing adhesive from the equation altogether, you eliminate the primary failure mode of commercial wall coverings. From a life cycle perspective, avoiding that removal labor and frequent replacement saves a massive amount of time and money down the road.
Let's pause for a second on the number 5. A typical single-wall installation is completed in under 5 hours. It's so fast. Because there's no acclimation time for materials, no massive staging areas required for giant vinyl rolls, and zero drying time thanks to that UV LED cure, crews can print an architectural scale image and literally be out the door before lunch.
Let's look at Section 4, real-world applications. How does this actually operate in occupied high-traffic spaces? Well, in healthcare, it provides beautiful, calming imagery and intuitive wayfinding, while easily tolerating EPA-registered disinfectants for those super strict infection prevention protocols. In education, imagine bringing giant mascots and STEM storytelling right onto cinder block walls. And for corporate environments, it scales institutional branding and safety wayfinding across national locations with exact consistency. The whole process is driven entirely by digital files, rather than hoping different batches of printed vinyl happen to match. There's also a major safety and aesthetic benefit here: zero protrusion hazards. You get stunning floor-to-ceiling visual communication without adding any cluttered signage that sticks out of the walls. In a busy hospital corridor or a crowded school hallway, integrating graphics directly into the architecture keeps the space safe, clean, and highly legible from a distance. This brings us to Section 5, the sustainability advantage. The environmental data here absolutely speaks volumes. By printing straight to the wall, we completely eliminate PVC films, paper liners, buckets of chemical adhesives, and the heavy shipping pallets required to transport all of that waste. Instead, you benefit from zero landfill liners and low VOC inks that actually protect indoor air quality. Because the printing happens directly on site, you drastically reduce your supply chain footprint and transport emissions. It is an incredibly lean process, really. It's just applying ink directly to an existing painted surface.
And what about end-of-life efficiency? Well, because these are paint-over-ready surfaces, they allow for rapid neutralization when it's time for tenant turnover. Think about the absolute nightmare of tearing out old wallpaper, sacrificing your nights and weekends to scraping and using those toxic adhesive removers. With direct-to-wall, when a tenant leaves, you simply debrand the space with a roller and standard low VOC paint. You're resetting the room in hours and avoiding demolition waste entirely. It's a total game changer.
To really summarize this paradigm shift, we have this perfect quote from East Coast Mural Pros. They say, "The future of interior branding is integrated, scalable, and operationally efficient, and it's already on the wall." This hits the nail on the head, reinforcing that direct-to-wall printing has matured from a niche novelty into a fully enterprise-ready tool. It's built for those multi-location rollouts that demand speed, predictability, and beautiful architectural integration. So I want to leave you with this slightly provocative thought today. If the future of interior design is already on the wall, what exactly is holding your space back? Are you really still dealing with peeling edges, lengthy timelines, and wasteful materials? It might be time to reevaluate your own commercial spaces and maybe even spark a pilot program. The technology is here, it's incredibly seamless, and it is entirely transforming the spaces we live, learn, and work in. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I can't wait to explore our next topic with you.